So we had Red Faction Guerrilla just came out. It came out a while ago. But now, what's new in Red Faction Armageddon compared to that game?
Yeah, it's a very different sort of tone that we've done with Red Faction Armageddon. What we wanted to do was to create a different experience. It's something that really in every Red Faction title that we've done, we've tried to do something a little bit different. So Red Faction 1 versus Red Faction 2 versus Guerrilla, every one of those titles was appreciably different than the one before that. And it kind of goes back to our roots at Volition, where we would consistently go through different genres. We do space sims, we do first-person shooters, we do RPGs. So we started to stabilize that in terms of the types of genres we do, but we still like to be able to do different things and tell different stories. And so Red Faction Armageddon fits very neatly within that sort of theme with the Red Faction series. So whereas Red Faction Guerrilla was a little bit more contemporary, future contemporary, we did something that was definitely different. It's a more darker tone, more menacing, and there's been 2 generations since the events of Red Faction Guerrilla, so the technology within the game itself has actually increased as well in terms of the weapons and vehicles that the people use. So it's definitely got a little bit more of a deeper sort of sci-fi feel to it than we did on Red Faction Guerrilla.
There's been, in Red Faction Guerrilla, you had this big open world. You drove around mostly on the surface of Mars. And now what we've heard and seen from Red Faction Armageddon is going to be a lot more underground. How is that transition?
Yeah, that's correct. It's definitely very much underground. And one of the things that we talked a lot about with Red Faction Guerrilla was the open world experience was great, and everyone loved that. But one of the things that we did find is that there are times you'd get in your vehicle and you'd head off to your next mission, or you'd go after your next objective, and it would be a little bit more open, and you kind of drive along, and there wasn't as much gameplay, there wasn't as much action or excitement, and it certainly didn't leverage the destruction that our engine is always so famous for. So with Red Faction Armageddon and going underground, did a few things for us. The first thing is that it brought all that action very tight, and so you don't have those kinds of open areas anymore where you're trying to find something to do, just between one objective and the next. Now it's all right there. You just go continually from one to the next. It's definitely a slightly tighter experience than what we did on Red Faction Guerrilla. The other aspect of going underground that we really like is just from an aesthetic standpoint, because Red Faction 1 and Red Faction Guerrilla were both set on Mars, and trying to do yet a third title set on Mars, which we're doing, and having it Red Rock Mars, it starts to get a little more challenging in terms of coming up with environments that people will really key in on and get really excited about. So when we went underground, it was part of a conscious effort towards creating an environment that looks different. It doesn't feel like the same old Mars. Whatever you might have in your head of what Mars is like, we were doing something pretty different with that. And going underground gives us the opportunity to do that sort of thing. Because no one's been underground, no one knows exactly what it looks like, so we can have ice caves and magma and things of that nature.
Yeah, the destruction has always been a big part of Red Faction games. And talking about Red Faction 1, one of the things that we did, I lived back then, lived together with a friend. Yeah. We picked it up, we had a lot of fun with it, but one of the things we decided to do was we wanted to just collapse all the cave walls in a special level, and of course that didn't work. After a while, the PlayStation 2 runs out of memory to do that. Will I be able to? How much will I be able to destroy this time around? Will I get my revenge of those darn cave walls?
It's a little bit different this time, actually, in terms of what we're doing with that. To expand upon that, so in Red Faction 1, one of the things that we always struggled with, and both 1 and 2 really for that matter, was trying to teach people, here are the kinds of objects that you can destroy, and here are the kinds of objects you cannot destroy. And in Red Faction 1, I'll never forget this, it was something that we had to do to really get that across to the player, was we literally put an X marks the spot on a wall to teach the player, this is a wall that you can and need to destroy in order to progress through the mission. And I've always thought about that as it's unfortunate. That's not the sort of, you don't want to have to tell people this is what you must destroy. It's far more rewarding when they figure it out themselves, right? And in Red Faction Guerrilla, one of the things that we found out was when we taught people that if it was man-made, you can destroy it. If it was natural, you could not. It was a very clean way of delivering the gameplay to players. And so that's something that we've stuck with in Red Faction Armageddon. There are different, certain elements that you can destroy. It's very clear what natural environment that you can destroy. But the vast majority of it is still very much like Red Faction Guerrilla, where if it's just a clean delineation of if it's man-made, it means you can destroy it.
So I guess that there's no real point to me asking about multiplayer then?
Not at this point. We're at a phase right now where we're not really talking about it too much. So yeah, you have to stay tuned on that one.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.